Pretty much, I had a friend invite me gambling and I won $13,000. It's crazy. It's just all connected. It blows my mind and surprises me every single day.
Hey everybody, today we're with Salma Llama. Salma has a excellent YouTube channel all about her own spiritual journey, a lot of content on there about Dr. Joe Dispenza. And actually one of her videos about the Dr. Joe Dispenza Advanced Retreat was one of the first videos I watched when I started on my own spiritual journey. So we've kind of come full circle and now I'm talking to her on my own YouTube channel. Salma, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me.
I feel amazing and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for this. So can you start off and tell us a little bit about your own, I guess, your own spiritual journey, right? I've got a video on my channel all about how I got into Dr. Joe, but how did you come about getting into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and kind of get into meditation and this whole spiritual journey of yours?
Well, mine started off pretty crazy. When I was 19, I started to be able to sense energies outside of myself. So some people say, spirits, ghosts, entities, things like that. I started to be able to feel them and to sense them, which made me curious about the universe, the mysteries of the world, like what else is out there that I can't see, that I don't know about. So that's when it really started. But I think at first I was more fascinated by the pineal gland and like, what can you see? And, what's on other planets and what psychic abilities exist? I was like looking up like kinesis and telepathy and, is that real? Is witchcraft real? Can you really like light a candle and put it, it was more that way because I was really young and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just wanted to know, is this real? Went out and bought crystals. Can I feel this? Does this do anything? Is it real? And then it turned into a journey within to find myself, because I found relief in just going into myself and learning more about myself versus this like seeking these powers and these abilities. That kind of made me more lost and put me more in a fear state, because I'm like, oh my God, there's all these things out here and I can see them. And but what does that really do for me? It was a path that led me to the right path, but it wasn't really doing anything for me to find my true self. Mm-hmm. And one day I wasn't really meditating a lot over the years. I would do like one here and there, like once a month. I would just close my eyes and try to focus on my breathing or do a guided meditation from time to time. So nothing committed. But one day I decided, okay, I've never had a goal. Let me meditate for 30 days in a row. On day 3 for 30 minutes, 30 days in a row for 30 minutes. On day 3, I'm just breathing through my nose and I get this, and I'm focusing on that. And I get lost in the breath. And I knew I could feel my body, but I almost couldn't feel. I forgot about the body. I start feeling this breeze around my body and I see this white light and it just takes over me, but I become it. And I start crying because I feel so much love. And I remember in that moment, I remember feeling like I was home. And, even talking about it makes me emotional because it's just a feeling that you will never forget. And I realized this is what everybody's looking for. This is what I've been kind of going crazy searching for throughout my life in different ways. But I didn't know what path it was, but I was looking for it. I couldn't, go to sleep at night feeling peace. It was just like, what is this thing? Why do I feel like I'm looking for something and I don't know what it is? And then that day I found it. And I just realized this is what everybody is looking for. This is what we all are. And that's when I realized we are all one. And after that, it kind of led me to like reading some books, paying more attention to the messages and my intuition. And I never felt alone after that day. I realized this energy was within me, all around me, inside of everything. And it was leading me to certain experiences that I was supposed to have, just in the right direction for my path to connect me back to this love. And honestly, I know it's there. I've never been able to connect like that to it anymore because I can feel it coming and I get so excited that I can't calm myself down, and that excitement cuts it off, because you really have to be at peace and very, very relaxed to get there. After that experience, anytime I've tried to meditate, I can feel when I'm
Oh,
about to get there,
right,
but I cut myself off because of the excitement. You know, every single time I'm like, I'm about to go home. And
right.
then boom, I'm back in my body.
Yep, I've got that same thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like you get so close, you can kind of feel like the vibrations almost of it, and then you try to go a little bit further instead, and it just kind of all falls apart. It's almost like you have to like sink into it, or just like unconsciously kind of get absorbed into it in a way.
Yeah, like you can't be thinking about it, you can't be excited, your heart rate can't change. It's like you literally have to fall and sink into it, just like you said, and then boom, it happens when you least expect it.
Right.
But when you're like, are you at the door, are you at the door, I see you, I'm coming, and then then you're like,
And
then
so
it's
you reached this place completely on your own just by doing these 30-minute meditations?
yeah, it just happened unexpectedly on the third day. And I think that happened because, I mean, that was like the main catalyst for my true, journey
Right.
into myself. That was like, I am here, I am you, I am everything. This is what you're looking for. And I'm always with you, and I am you. And that's just kind of like when I fell further into it. And that's when I could just receive more and more guidance with these signs and these synchronicities. And with Dr. Joe Dispenza, I pay a lot of attention to like the things that pop up in my life. Becoming Supernatural started popping up on my Instagram ads and Facebook. I was like, what is this book? What the heck is this? Who's Dr. Joe Dispenza? So I saw that, and then one of my best friends called me, and she's like, hey, have you heard of this Dr. Joe Dispenza guy? And I was like, oh my God, his stuff has been popping up. She's like, yeah, I don't know, he seems pretty cool. And I was like, okay, this is the third time he's popped up. Let me buy this book and see what happens. I got it on Audible. It was very overwhelming for me. I like very simple, easy information that you would give to, like, if a child could understand it. That's how I like information. Sometimes like when you watch like gurus and stuff, they speak in all these riddles and
Right.
metaphors.
They are
And
riddles. Yeah, it's frustrating.
yes, and I'm just like, no, just tell me what you're saying, please. I don't want to figure it out. I'm already trying to figure it out, and then you're making me figure it out. With Dr. Joe, there was a lot of science, words I didn't know, things I couldn't understand. Listening to it, I was like, okay, this is important. I know I'm supposed to hear this. I know I'm supposed to understand it, but oh my God, I can't doze off for 3 seconds, or else I have to rewind to actually understand this. So his book came into my life. I would listen to it driving to work. It was an hour and 15 minutes each way. So I had a lot of time. And, when I stopped paying attention, I had time to rewind until I actually got through the book. And I was just like, wow, this man is incredible. I'm intrigued. Let me see what he's about. Like, is he speaking anywhere? I want to know more. So I went to his page. I found an event in Sedona where he was speaking for a day with a group of speakers, and you could buy a ticket for just that day. And at the time, I didn't know that his stuff sold out in like 10 minutes. So I have no idea how I got this ticket or anything. I happened to just buy it, went to Sedona, went to his retreat. As soon as he started speaking, my whole body went into chills, and I
Oh, wow.
literally like started crying. And I remember he described the experience that I had with that light and that oneness and the feeling. And it just confirmed, like, this man has been there, he's connected, this information is very relevant to me. And that's when I learned about his week-long advanced retreats. So I attended Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long advanced retreat in June 2020. And, a couple months before, I didn't have any money, but I was writing in my journal about how grateful I was, and his name popped into my head. And I remember I didn't write anything. I wrote his name at the bottom of my journal. Later that month, a bunch of money, the most money I've ever had, appeared in my bank account, and I had a ticket to his retreat.
Hey.
And one of my best friends was down to go. So that is how I attended his week-long retreat. That's how I got there. That's what, kind of like the synchronicities and the signs that led me there.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about some of the synchronicities that you noticed in your life. Like you were kind of explaining this to me. So I had a similar experience where I had this mystical experience and it totally changed my perspective on everything. And you were explaining to me that that energy that is inside of me is inside of you and inside of everybody, but is also inside of everything. And that's how these synchronicities and serendipities occur. Tell me a little more about that, I guess. Like how do you experience some of these synchronicities? What other like examples of synchronicities have you noticed in your life?
I mean, I get signs every single day, almost all day long. Like as long as I'm not sitting in my bed, all day and like no action can happen. But sometimes it happens through a friend calling you. Like something that I do a lot because I constantly, once I discovered this, I wanted to continue growing and cultivating my connection with this energy, because we are all connected, but you can be aware of the connection and grow this connection even deeper. So when I knew we were one and that this energy was always there, loving me, guiding me, it's like the parent of your dreams that you've always wanted, but it is you at the same time. I started paying so much more attention, but I also started talking to it. So I talk out loud. I'm like, what should I do about this? What?
I talk out loud all the time.
Yes. And I personally feel like you get answers so much faster when you speak out loud. You talk to this energy, and I make it clear that I'm talking to this energy. And, whatever you believe in, you can say, God, how do I do this? What should I do? Show me a sign. And you can ask for a specific sign. You can say angels, guides, like show me a sign, loving awareness, the unified field, whatever it is that you feel comfortable using, this loving awareness that loves you so much, that is guiding you towards love and joy. Just talk to it and ask it a question, or just talk about your problems, and then you will see that it will respond to you. So sometimes I'll say, show me a grape if this is the path I should take, or show me a pig if this is the path I should take. And I know this sounds completely ridiculous, but then you have to let go. So you don't want to be attached to a specific outcome, because you don't want to focus on something and then manifest it towards you. You want to let this energy bring you the answer, and then I will get the answer. So if my own intuition doesn't tell me like, this is the right path for you, and I'm a little lost and I need help, I will ask for the assistance. But it also speaks to me when I'm not asking. It will tell me what's going on, what's happening. I live in Las Vegas. So there's like a week or so where I would keep seeing, and these were everywhere, but they were catching my attention. Specifically, when things catch your attention and you kind of think about them, it's a message for you. Like when somebody says something and a few words resonate with you and you think about them after the conversation, that's because that's a message for you. So I noticed these billboards, and they're just people like winning money gambling. And I remember after a few days, I was like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I don't gamble, I don't understand. And then pretty much I had a friend invite me gambling, and I won $13,000.
Oh, holy cow.
So that was just the universe being like, hey, you got some money coming, and it's going to be through gambling. And I didn't understand, because I didn't even gamble at the time, nor did I know how. And then I got this invite, and I was like, okay, like I'm not doing anything tonight. Let me come out. Let me try this. And then I won a ton of money. And it was just like, wow, the universe was telling me this was coming.
Is that the money that you used to go to the Dr. Joe Advanced Retreat?
No.
Okay, that's a different sum of money that you got on that time, huh?
Yes. There was so when how cryptocurrencies blew up, I don't know anything about it, but I felt like I was getting left behind. And one of my friends, and I asked the universe, I'm like, what should I put money into? What should I invest in? I have a friend randomly call me, and he's like, hey, like I'm making a lot of money off of ADA Cardano. Didn't even know what that was. And he's like, you should invest in it. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it. I don't know. So I like looked it up. I didn't even know what it was, if it was a cryptocurrency or what. And then I was like, okay, I mean, I asked the question, you responded, somebody called me and gave me the suggestion. But I asked again, I was like, okay, if this is the cryptocurrency I should invest in, like, give me another sign. So I go on a drive, I come back home, there's somebody visiting my mom, and his license plate says ADA in the front, and then the number.
Wow.
So I put money in, and then I made money off of that.
That is amazing. Okay, so I am 100% trying this because I do invest in cryptocurrencies, and I'm always looking at what should I invest in next. All right, that's pretty wild. So I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start asking. So I just ask the universe, like, what should I do, A or B? And I say, show me a pig or show me a grape, and one of those things is gonna come into my life at some point.
Yeah, like it might be, you might go on Instagram and like a picture of a pig might show up, or you might see the word pig, or like somebody might walk past you with grapes on their shirt.
Right.
But you don't want to be attached to the outcome though. And then it's going to guide you towards your highest good as well. Okay. So if you're asking something and it's not going to lead you towards your highest good, then you might not get the answer that you want, or, be led in the way that you want. Or if it's like a maybe, you might see both signs because you're not supposed to know yet. There's still something that needs to unfold.
Okay. I am 100% trying that. So after talking to you, I've been looking for synchronicities in my life. I've been trying to be more aware of them. And I started a journal of all the synchronicities that I noticed in my life. And the other day I was I went to a Noodles and Company, right? Which is like a fast food place here in Maryland. And I placed an order and I was waiting for my order. And after like 1 minute of waiting, I was like, man, I really wish I would have ordered a soda. I'm kind of thirsty now. Not 30 seconds later, somebody comes from around the counter, says, hey, do you want a free soda while you're waiting for your order? I was like, yes, yes, I do. Like, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever been in a fast food place and somebody offered me a free soda just because I was waiting for my order. And it's just literally 30 seconds after I thought, man, I really wish I would have ordered a soda. It's crazy. That's kind of hard to ignore something like that. So I'm trying your method out. I'm going to be asking for specific signs.
Yeah. And I mean, even you can ask for specific signs or just let it be open and just pay attention. I think at first, when you're first starting, it's a little bit easier to ask for specific signs. So that you like actually know
right
something is responding to you. And then you're kind of like, whoa. And then after a while, you just kind of talk and the signs just pop up. The right people call at the right time. You get the right advice. This person shows up. This book answers your questions that somebody handed you. Everything. It's crazy. It's just all connected. It blows my mind and surprises me every single day.
Yeah.
And it will for you too.
I like it. And so when you ask these questions, is it like now during your waking life, or is it when you do ask these questions like when you're in a deep meditation? Is that when you ask for signs from the universe?
No, honestly, my favorite spot is in my car. I feel like I'm in like a private bubble talking to my therapist. So it's like, hey, universe, what should I do? This is how I feel. This is what's happening. Give me a sign if I should do this. I would like help with this. Or in the shower. Sometimes during a meditation, but usually in my meditations, I just feel that love so deeply that I just like to sit in that. And a lot of the times it's just like a thank you for being here.
Right. I know what you're talking about. I've been tuning into new potentials, and I really like get into the zone and the sweet spot. And then he asks you, what is it that you want to manifest in life? Sometimes like, no, I don't want to worry about that. I'm enjoying the sweet spot of meditation right now. So tell me about the advanced retreat, right? I've heard all kinds of crazy stories about these advanced retreats, that there's people on the ground flailing and screaming, and that there's fourth dimensional beings that come in there and are grabbing people's legs and healing them. What was your experience like at one of these Dr. Joe retreats?
I mean, I think everybody is meant to have whatever experience they're supposed to have when they go. So for me, I didn't have any like fourth dimensional blue ETs, because I've heard of those too, and I've seen people's comments about them and their healings, but I didn't personally see them. But I did, like, my dad died when I was 1.5, I saw him. I saw my future self, Salma Llama. And I had conversations with them. In the deep meditations, I spoke to this loving energy, and it was a vibration. And when it would speak, the vibration would go through my whole body, almost to it was so powerful that I would feel its love, but also nauseous, because it was such a high vibration that my body wasn't used to this high of a vibration,
Wow.
that it would make me sick. And I even asked it, I'm like, why, why am I getting nauseous here doing these meditations and connecting to, your energy? And it responded, it's because you're not used to the frequency. And it reminded me of times that I've been into like a really big crystal store. I go in there and sometimes I feel a little nauseous or lightheaded or hot or dizzy. And it told me, like, that's, the high frequency of these crystals, your body isn't at the same frequency. So you're feeling the effects of it. And throughout the retreat, I mean, there were times where I thought I was going to throw up. There were times where I was dizzy, because you're just meditating and connecting to the space and pumping out, emotions, and you physically feel it, like you're sweating. There were times where I was like dripping in sweat. I'm
Wow.
feeling balls of energy move through my body. There were times where I was like feeling my field, which was so cool. I think that was one of my favorite moments, was when there was twice where I could feel my whole field, and I could feel this huge bubble around me. And one of the times was during the walking meditation, and my arms started levitating. Like, it felt like there was no gravity, and they were levitating on top of my field. They just kept doing this.
Wow. Yeah.
And I just let it happen. I mean, these retreats are incredible. I did see there were people falling to the ground. There were people shaking. There were people roaring. There were people bending, backwards, having these releases. There's like men on their knees, bawling their eyes out. You kind of see everything. It's so beautiful and magical. And all of these people are leveling themselves up in some way, healing something deep, seeing their future lives. Like this, the stuff he talks about, sometimes you read books and you're kind of like, this is a story. You don't 100% believe that it's real, that it's possible. And even myself, I had experienced energies and seen things my whole life. But being in a space where this was happening to hundreds of people blew my mind. And the energy of like the Kundalini, that, some people call it, the energy that Joe Dispenza tries to get you to pump out from your lower centers up, you feel that, and you see people literally like shaking. Like there are people like walking to the buffet and then all of a sudden falling backwards because this energy is starting to hit them. Because you're
Wow.
meditating and pumping, like you're pumping it out so much throughout the day, over and over and over again, and then doing these long meditations with him all day, that like some people, you just don't know when it's gonna hit you. And I see like he has all of these people that work for him that are assisting in the retreat, so they're like running around, catching people on the ground. I mean, it was very safe. Anytime somebody was like on their knees or bending backwards, there was you would always see somebody go there and kind of like be there just in case they needed any help with anything. Even myself, during one of the meditations, which I don't even remember like what was fully happening, I just remember I was shaking a lot, and I sensed that there was somebody standing next to me, just in case I needed help with anything.
That's good. And so how many hours a day are you meditating during these things? Is it like all day long?
We would do, I would say like 3 to 5 meditations a day, and he would never tell you how long it was. He never wanted you to be looking at your phone, your watch. Right. He would never forewarn you. So you were just kind of like in the moment. He didn't want you guessing when it was over, So, I mean, let me try and think. I'd say like a minimum of 4 hours and maybe up
Wow.
to 7 or 8 hours in a day.
That is intense. The most I've ever done is about an hour and a half. So I got to get those numbers up before I go to one of these advanced retreats. Then I gotta prepare myself.
No, you don't, because I wasn't prepared before I went. I wasn't meditating regularly. You do have to, there's a prerequisite when you buy a ticket for the advanced week-long retreat that you have to do the intensive and progressive course, which comes with your ticket. And that prepares you for, it really teaches you, goes in depth into all of his work and how to really prepare you for blessing of the energy centers, because that was a meditation we did every day. That was like one of his most important ones at the time. I don't know if things have changed because it's been a year and a half.
Right.
But yeah, he had us do that every single day. But I wasn't prepared. I wasn't meditating prior. I just did his little course, did his little meditations here and there as I finished it. And then boom, I'm just thrown into this experience where I'm meditating for all these hours. And what was insane was that I remember specifically on day like 4, I was able to pay attention and barely have any thoughts and just put my focus all on Dr. Joe or all into the meditations with barely any interruptions. When normally it's like, he's speaking, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna have for lunch. And oh, I'm getting kind of hot. Let me take off my sweater. But being kind of like forced and thrown into this experience where you have to focus, you have to meditate, and you're doing it over and over and over, and he's constantly saying, come back to me, stay here with me, stay present, making you remember through all day long. And everything is live, except for his walking meditations. Like, he's there on the microphone guiding you through the meditations.
Wow.
So he's constantly teaching you to come back to the present moment and pay attention. And then I was like, on day 4, I'm like, oh my God, I can pay attention.
I love it, man. That sounds pretty intense, but I guess that's good to kind of push us out of our comfort zones. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know if I ever meditated longer than 20 minutes before I got into Dr. Joe's meditations. And I thought an hour was pretty intense, but 5 to 8 hours, geez. So if somebody was getting into Dr. Joe Dispenza, and first getting into meditation, what are your tips for them? Where do you think that they should start? Should they start with becoming supernatural, or do you think they should start with some easier meditations or some easier books?
Okay. I would say, I have only read his Becoming Supernatural book. I kind of just like read that, went to the retreat, and then it was like, boom, I understood most of it, I would say, because of that. But I think if you're first starting off, his work is very complicated. If you want to go kind of like the more affordable route, I would take the book. I would not buy it on Audible, because you want to look at it and probably take notes and take the time to understand it. And then I would, Blessing of the Energy Centers. I mean, I kind of feel like that's the meditation that really does it and gets you on the right track. If you have a little bit more money, I highly suggest you buy his intensive and progressive course, because that explains everything in the book and in such detail. It's a lot easier to understand. You're watching a video, he's drawing things for you, he's explaining it in 5 different ways. It just makes it so much easier, and you'll fully understand the work, because that is the prerequisite to even go to the advanced retreat. And that's just so you can understand him at the advanced retreat, because he's going to repeat everything you learned in those courses. But he's talking about firing and wiring and doing the same thing over and over again, so it actually sinks into your brain. So at the retreat, he's just repeating everything that you have learned in the intensive and progressive, but making you meditate 5 to 8 hours a day and like actually making you do it. So if you have the money to spend, I highly recommend the intensive and progressive course, and that will actually train you to feel the space and prepare you for Blessing of the Energy Centers meditation. And it will also teach you the breath, which once you know all of those things, you will be able to understand almost all of his work and all of his meditations.
Nice. I like it. Do you like doing the breath that he does, where you're contracting your abs and pushing the energy out? Do you enjoy that?
I absolutely hated it
Right.
at
I did too.
first. Oh my gosh, it was like a workout. And did you sweat a lot when you first started doing it?
I don't think I ever sweated from doing it. No.
Oh my God, maybe you just had less to release than I did, but I would do it and like my body would sweat even after I got home. Months after, I would just, the emotions, the old beliefs, the stuff in my body that was coming out, for me, it would be released as sweat. So, and my body would get hot. And, one time I got up because I had to run to the sink because I almost threw up because, the energy is moving and you feel a little nauseous. So at first I hated the breath. Now I appreciate the breath because I know all of the wonderful things that come from it, and it does get easier as you go because you get used to it and you kind of find your own flow that's a little bit more comfortable.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah, I like it now. I didn't used to like it. I used to be like, God, this is so intense. It's taking me out of this like really relaxed state I was in. But then once I started doing it, and like he talks about like pulling the mind out of the body, and I was like, holy cow, that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm getting a little high off of this, and I'm like pulling my mind right out of my body. And then when I start doing the rest of the meditation in this state, like I can just go way deeper into everything. So I kind of get it now. So yeah, thanks so much for doing this with me. If anybody wanted to kind of reach out to you or follow you, what's the best way to follow you?
Well, I have an Instagram. You can DM me at the Salma Llama on Instagram, and then on YouTube, I'm Salma Llama. And if you just want to email me, I have that on my YouTube, and it is thesalmalama@gmail.com. If you have any questions, want to reach out, want to say hello, I am here.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Salma Llama, for doing this with me. I love talking to you. Yeah, and hopefully I'll see you at one of these advanced retreats one of these days.